Welcome to the Breech Birth Podcast. I'm Sasha Hopkins, private midwife, breech birth educator, and your host. This is a space to hear the real, raw, and powerful stories of women who have experienced breech birth in all its layers. Each episode features honest conversations with women who've experienced breech firsthand, offering insight and reflection. This podcast was born from the knowing that these stories need to be heard to inform, connect, and reclaim the story of breech birth. Whether you're navigating breech birth yourself, supporting others, or simply curious, welcome and thank you. Hi, Eleanor. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Sasha. How you going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Long time no speak.
Yes, it seems to be the way we catch up now.
Yeah.
So, to give a bit of context before we get into your story, would you mind sharing what year your puppy was born?
Yes, 2017.
And where were you located?
We're in Brisbane.
Queensland, Australia, for anyone outside of that area. And what kind of care did you receive during your pregnancy, labour and postpartum?
I was in a MGC, what do you call it? The group where there's sort of...
MGP?
Yeah, MGP. Yeah,
Yep.
I had 3 midwives rotating. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so they cared for you postnatally as well?
Yes.
Amazing. And did you have a vaginal or a caesarean birth?
Caesarean.
Do you want to give a little bit of background on yourself before you go into your story?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I grew up in Queensland on the Sunshine Coast and travelled a bit and landed in Brisbane by the time I had my first child. I'm a videographer and photographer now and filmmaker, I can say, which is super exciting. And I guess the background before, I was pretty healthy, lots of sports beforehand, had a great pregnancy, and even, leading up to the birth into labour was all pretty amazing. I was really lucky. I guess also I didn't research anything. I didn't go to any classes. I kind of had that personality of go with the flow. I sort of trusted my body. I thought, just as I did with everything else in life, I'll figure it out as I'm doing it, which has worked majority of the time. But I realize now, looking back at that first birth, you can't do that for birth. And that's only because of the systems that are in place, not because I couldn't have done it on my own and I couldn't have felt through it. I absolutely could have if I'd done a home birth or a free birth, I think. But because I was in care of the hospital with the hospital midwives, I realized now that I really needed to understand how they operated and how I was going to fit into that system, because you can't just go with the flow and have it work out the way you want to unless you know how they're going to operate as well.
Thank you. So would you like to go into your story, like maybe just start at the beginning? Were you planning pregnancy? How did that pregnancy journey look for you, and go on from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I got pregnant, I went to the GP. I found a woman GP that someone recommended, and she was lovely. She was super excited for me and, let me know the options that were available, which was basically private or public. And then she also, to her credit, did mention the third option of the group practice of the birth centre. And because she'd listened to me and she sort of understood that I liked a bit more freedom and I felt really confident in myself and my abilities, she said, oh, maybe this would be for you. It's no guarantee, you'll have to apply, make sure there's spaces, blah, blah, blah. But because I felt more comfortable being out of control, I guess, she said, yeah, I think that might be a good one for you. So I was really happy with that I got to choose a different model of care that wasn't exactly the mainstream, because that's how I'd always lived my life as far as health and healing and things like that. So leading up to it, they explained that you would have 3 midwives who rotated for your care, for all your prenatal care. The labour will be kind of a luck of the draw, whoever's on shift, and then post will be, again, just a rotation of whoever's on shift to come and see you and look after you after the birth. And so that all sounded really good. I met the first midwife, absolutely loved her, adored her. I thought, great, this is going to be so good. Met the second one. She was still nice. I didn't gel as well from a personality and sort of, worldview. But I thought, yeah, would still be really comfortable with her. I didn't actually meet the third midwife until I was maybe like 7 or 8 months into the pregnancy. She just wasn't on shift in the times that I could get in for the appointments. So looking back, that was probably a little bit daunting, because when I did meet her, I didn't gel with her at all. She was very clinical. And the first thing she talked about was caesarean births with me and
Yeah.
the possibility that I might end up with a caesarean. So I just thought 2 out of 3, as long as I don't have her during my labor, I think I'm going to be fine and comfortable. But Murphy's Law, I had her actually for my labor and birth. So, that is definitely a contributing factor to how my birth story played out for sure. But again, you don't know what you don't know back then. Now I know that choosing the care provider to be with you in whatever setting you choose and being comfortable with that person is probably one of the biggest things that you can prepare for and make sure that that's, that she is part of your birth team, I think. So we had a great pregnancy. All the tests going in were great, felt comfortable, no issues at all, except for around about 32 weeks, I think. My son was presenting breech. And, went in and the midwives picked that up and they said, don't worry, like there's still heaps of time. Babies still move around quite a bit at this stage. Don't panic. And we sort of had the small conversations around what would it be like if it was breech and could I still have the baby there at the birth center? And they said, yeah, absolutely. We still have breech births here. Not a problem. So that kind of
In the birth center?
In the birth center.
Yeah, great. Amazing. And with picking baby up, was that through feeling your belly?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Did they do an ultrasound to confirm?
I think she did at that point and was like, yeah, definitely breech. Then a couple of weeks later, because I felt him kind of like moving around a lot and I did acupuncture and different things to kind of see if he would shift around. I think maybe 36 weeks I went back in and they were pretty confident that he had flipped back around, so head down. Just from palpating, we didn't do any extra tests. And I think I was just excited I was like, great, that's it.
Yeah.
We're going for a natural, head down birth. And then I actually really did feel him move again. I thought he flipped back to breech in the shower one time. And I let the midwives know and they said, no, it's not really possible at this late stage. He's too big now. So we're not worried. We're not worried. Like, yep. You shouldn't be worried. Okay. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was the information. Sasha's shaking her head.
No, I've had babies flip at term and in labour.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, and I was pretty positive. I'd actually had a chat to him and I said, right, buddy, you're going to have to flip heads down, like, for the birth, for the next appointment. And I think he literally just did that so that he could flip back around again. Like, that just sounds like his personality to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously we all thought that he was head down going into the labour and the birth.
They didn't do an ultrasound because they were like, no, it's head down. Yeah. Okay.
No. But when he was in the breech position, and I had that appointment with the third midwife, she went straight into talking about caesareans. She said, look, this is probably what you'll do if he's breech. This is what most people elect for. And she gave me like a whole book. And I just remember the blood draining from my face, just thinking, no, this is not what I want. This is the last thing that I want is a caesarean. And that was just her idea. Like, that was what was going to be. And I could tell that would be her comfort zone, would be a caesarean. She wasn't really going to advocate for me with anything else. So I felt relieved when I thought he was head down, because I thought, if I got her in the labour, I don't feel like she would be comfortable with a breech birth. And I was right.
Yeah. How did it all start?
It was actually a really lovely start to the labour. It was really gentle. I remember on a Sunday afternoon, we had, gone out for lunch and we were walking around doing a bit of shopping, and I would have been almost 41 weeks. So I hadn't had to have any interventions or anything like that. They were sort of saying, if you go over, we might do something like a stretch and sweep.
Still no ultrasounds offered at this point?
They had booked in the stretch and sweep for the week after or something like that. I wasn't going to go, but I was like, yeah, fine, you can book it in. Sure, I'll come. And so it was a Sunday afternoon. I went to the bathroom and I noticed the mucus plug, and in my mind clocked it. And I was like, great. So labour is definitely on its way. And I think I went into very, very gentle labour the next morning. It was just sort of felt like period cramps on and off. Nothing, you just wanted to lay down and cuddle into a blanket kind of feeling. And it was like that almost the whole day. I didn't even tell my partner that I thought that I was in labor. He was working from home and I didn't even mention it. I just said, I was just tired. I wanted to lay down because I wasn't sure, sort of edging into it. And then by the evening, it started to ramp up. And I was like, yeah, I think I might be in labor. So I told my partner, I think I might be in labor. It's not a lot, but it's getting stronger. And by about 3:00 in the morning, I couldn't lay down anymore. I couldn't sleep. And so that's when we called the midwife. And I said, yeah, I'm definitely in labor. What should we do? Do we come in? And she listened to me for a bit on the phone, listened to, how well I was able to communicate and talk and what the contractions or the surges sounded like. And then she just kind of said, oh, it's up to you. You can come in if you want, or you can stay at home if you want. Sometimes when the sun comes up, it'll either stall the labor or it'll progress the labor. So it might be a good idea to wait until the sun comes up. And so we did. We waited till another couple of hours, 6:00, 7:00 in the morning, and it was just getting stronger. And so we called her back again and she said, yep, it sounds like, you're in labor. You're properly in labor now. Again, you can ride it out at home for a bit or come in. And in my mind, I was like, oh, I can't imagine being in the car when it's much worse than this.
Yeah.
And also, I just wanted to relax into it, or my whole body just wanted to surrender into the experience. And I felt like if I needed to be in the space that I was going to birth him to do that. So I said, okay, let's get in the car. Let's go. That car ride was the worst. That was just the worst. That was worse than all of it almost because you're cramped. You just can't move with the surges. It was, yeah, I wouldn't want to do that again. And the other thing that happened was I said, great. So we'll see you in there, to the midwife on the phone, who was my favorite. And she said, oh, actually, my shift is ending now. So you'll have the next person on shift. And it was the third midwife. And I was just like, no. I just remember thinking like it was the worst thing. All I wanted to do was relax into this new environment with people that I trust. And I had to prepare that wasn't going to be the case so much. So anyway, we got to the hospital with no dramas, got in there, and it was beautiful. It was really dark. There was a bed, bath, a shower. So, everything that I would have wanted for a room in a hospital to be as much like a home setting. So they did that really, really well. And yeah, so I went in and I think maybe I was like 4 or 5 centimeters, say, dilated, according to the midwife. So she kind of just let me do my thing, which was actually really great. I went from the shower to the bed. Eventually she let me fill up the bath when she thought we were progressing a little bit further. And she just sat in the corner and wrote notes. Like literally that's all she did unless we needed her help, which is exactly what I wanted when I had my birth plan. I kind of just wanted to go into the zone and not be interrupted. And it was all going really great. Like the contractions that were actually just rolling, like I didn't actually get a break. It felt like the pressure was there all the time. So I knew that I was getting close. And she at one stage said, do you mind if I check? Do you mind if I have a look what's going on, see how far you are? And of course, when you're in that state, you're just like, yep, sure, go for it, whatever you need to do. And she got really excited. She's like, oh, you're like 8 or 9 centimeters. You're really, really close. Like I didn't actually know that you were this close because I think I was just chilling in my own brain, just taking it as it came, and I wasn't making too much noise or anything. And then she said, I can actually see that your water hasn't broken yet, not properly. And how about I break your water, break that bubble, and then you know what? He's going to come so fast because you're so close. And of course, that sounded great to me. And I said, yeah, go for it. So she got a little hook and got me on the bed and broke my water. And then she said, oh, I don't think that's a head. I actually think that's his feet coming down. I need a second opinion. And so she went and got somebody. They came back and they said, yeah, he's definitely breached and we can't let you have your baby here. And I was already well into labor, so I don't even know if I talked at that stage, but I remember thinking, but you said I could. And looking back, I think they had said I could if they had particular staff on, because she wasn't comfortable. So I don't understand why they didn't let me just continue on and to have a breech birth there. But all of a sudden the lights came on, a gurney came in, I got put on that, wheeled into the hospital theatre room next door and had stuff just started getting put on.
Theatre room or birth suite?
It was like a birth suite.
Okay.
Yeah. Just not the birth center.
Yeah, just not the birth
Yeah.
center. It was close to where I went and had the cesarean. So stuff starts getting put on me, on my stomach, monitors, some guy's trying to put something in my arm, and I'm looking at him going, I said, what are you doing? He's like, oh, in case you need a cesarean. And I was just like, what?
Wow.
They were already prepping me, ready to go. Yep, she's going to have a cesarean. Even though the labor was just beautiful, there was nothing wrong. He was progressing down fantastically. And I even think that the waters were part of the reason he was coming down so well, because it was part of the pressure that was being held there, letting him come through. And so this one little intervention that she did, it just, the whole situation changed. The lights were on, there was nurses coming in and out, doctors coming in and out, talking to me about that I'll need a cesarean, me saying, no, I don't want to do that. Can I try for a natural birth still? Like, what's the problem here? And they said, look, we need to call in a doctor that's comfortable with delivering breech, and he also was the surgeon, so he'll be needed for the cesarean anyway. So they said, that's okay, you can try for a few hours because we have to wait for him anyway.
Oh my God.
So the midwives had me like, all I wanted to do was get back in the shower and turn all the lights off. But instead, the midwives had me like on a stool trying to push, even though I was like, I don't feel like I don't need to push right now. I just need to get back into a space where he starts to come down again. Like, even I knew that even. But yeah, so I'd maybe push for like an hour or 2 hours. Like, it was just this, and I could feel that he had stopped because of the environment I was in. I knew it. Like, I could feel that the labor had stalled. And I just got more and more tired, and the doctor just kept coming in saying, are you ready for a cesarean now? You know, and so I think I tried for another 10 hours. Like, I was pretty determined.
Wow. Yeah.
But he wasn't moving.
Done.
And in the end, I ran out of energy because it had been about 40 hours in the labor. And I just, like, looking back, I feel like he would have come in the next hour or two naturally. And it makes me really sad thinking that, because she wasn't comfortable, then we weren't comfortable. So yeah, so I had to agree to a cesarean. I had tears in my eyes. I was looking at my partner. He had tears in his eyes. He's like, but this is not what you want. I was like, I know, but we're here now, and I can feel that he's not going to come any further, and I haven't got any energy left. So we have to change direction now. And at least I can do it on my terms. Like, I can make this decision, and we can make this a really fun experience. I said, this just has to be really fun from here on in, as fun as a cesarean can be, you know. And so we
I love
agreed.
that you said that.
Yeah.
Just let's make this fun, all right?
Yeah. And later on he did. He was like cracking jokes while I had stitches in. I'm like, stop making me laugh. So, you know, so you can take a bit of that power and control back. But I was definitely really heartbroken that it wasn't the situation. It was somebody in the situation that caused it. And so it could have been avoided. But, you know, it's all new experiences, and I got, you know, to say I've had a cesarean, so I've been through that. So I know what women go through. But it was crazy though, because I was in full contractions, you know, like really my whole body moving with these like intense, you know, because I'm right 10 centimeters or whatever it is right at the end dilated. Yeah. And I'm getting moved into the theatre and, you know, signing these waivers as the contractions are happening. You know, you might die in here. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And then like the, what do you call it? Anesthesia.
Anaesthetist.
Anaesthetist, yeah. He was saying, look, I'm about to put this needle in your spine. You cannot move, you know, otherwise I might paralyze you, kind of thing. You just can't move. And I'm like, but I'm having contractions. He's like, we're going to try and do it between them. I was like, okay. So one finished, and he's like, great, let's go. And he gets the needle in. I was like, oh, there's another one coming. He's like, you can't. You have to hold it. You can't. And up to that point, I was thinking, how could I ever stop this powerful surges that are happening inside of me? But with the understanding that, you know, I might get paralyzed if I move, all I can say is that I swallowed it. It came up and I swallowed it down inside me, and I didn't move. Like, it was the craziest feeling.
Swallowed a contraction.
I swallowed a contraction. don't know how else to describe it. It was crazy. And then obviously went in for the cesarean, which is just, should I describe it? Because it's such
Yeah, if
an
you want
intense
to.
experience for people to understand,
Great.
if you're going, should I have a cesarean by choice or not? This is what happens. So you're in the theatre and they had me arms spread, like I'm on a cross, like one on each side. I don't know whether they just had, I don't know whether they tied me down or not, but like basically arms spread.
They
And
usually put a strap
a
around each
strap,
arm.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So you don't move.
Sometimes. But then usually once you're holding baby, sometimes they undo it so you can hold your baby.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I had the straps on. And I just had these waves of nausea coming. And I remember saying to the lady, I'm going to throw up. She's like, no, you won't. It's just the medicine. Like, you're going to be fine. And I was just like, and I just threw up, just started throwing up. And she's like, I'm going to grab a bag. I was like, I told you.
Yeah.
It was just like another thing to me. Like, you're not listening to what I'm saying about my body. Anyway, and then the big curtain comes up. So you can't see anything. You can't feel anything. I was exhausted, but I could kind of feel a little bit of tugging, that kind of thing happening. And it was maybe 20 minutes like that until I felt them take him out and heard a little cry, but they had taken him straight to obviously clean him up and do all those things. They didn't actually bring him round to me at all. Aaron said that he was around there and he got to hold him briefly, but they weren't happy with his lungs. So he was whisked away before I can even see him.
So you didn't get to lay eyes on him at all?
No. They put him in the NICU while they sewed me up. I was really grateful for the surgeon because he came back around and he said, hey, just letting you know, you'd be good to go for a vaginal birth next time because you've done all the work. Like, you were all the way dilated and everything looks great in there. So I really appreciate him because he set me up for confidence to have a VBAC, a vaginal birth after cesarean. So I'm really grateful for him for that. And then once I was all sewed up, they wheeled me past Jack in the NICU so that I could see him in the box and just put my hand on the box and yeah.
And did your partner go with him to NICU when he went? Or did he stay with you?
I think he stayed with me, yeah, until I went in. And then I was absolutely zonked with all the drugs and exhaustion. So I went to sleep and then just got woken up a few hours later with your baby's hungry. Would you express some milk for him? So I didn't see him for quite a long time. I expressed for maybe a day before I could get up and get into a wheelchair and be taken down there to hold him. And when I held him, it was the craziest expression in his eyes. He looked at me and then did that, when you see someone you haven't seen in ages and you're like, like he did that to me, like the eyes. And I just saw this look of recognition, like, there you are. And it was like, where have you been, Mum? Where have you been? Yeah. Just gave him the biggest cuddle.
Yeah. And did you, with that expressing, did you have some help? Like, had you done that before or was it a first experience?
No, I hadn't done it before. And there was some lovely student midwives that came in and helped, which was great because it was incredibly hard to do with the cesarean, just having had the cesarean. Like, it's hard to do anyway, but I just couldn't sit up. I couldn't lean forward to do it. And so, for about 3 days, I had these wonderful student midwives just expressing my breast while we're chatting. So, where are you from? How long do you have to go in your course? Yes.
Yeah. And so how many days was he in the NICU for?
3, I think. Yeah.
Do you know what was wrong? Did he have to have support with breathing?
It was just his breathing. So I think because he was a cesarean, obviously he didn't get that, beautiful pressure going through, coming out the natural way to clear his lungs. So they just had to clear it a bit for him. He was huge. He was over 4 kilos. And so he's in the NICU with all these other babies and he's huge
double the
compared
size.
to them. It's double the size. So they weren't worried about it or anything like that. They just wanted to help, make sure his breathing was all good.
And so he didn't need antibiotics or anything like that?
No, yeah. I think he was just on a tube for a bit and then, because I went down to try breastfeeding for the first time after he had been syringe fed for 3 days. And I remember like, here you go, have a go. And there was one nurse kind of walking around, and I was just like, I don't know how to do this. This is not really working. Should we take the tube out of his mouth? Like she still had a tube in his mouth, and she's like, oh, yeah, okay. So,
Oh my
so
God.
of course he couldn't
Yeah.
get a latch. Like he really struggled to get a latch, and we had a lot of problems breastfeeding from then on. I think it was because he didn't get to breastfeed for like 3 or 4 days naturally, and then it was pretty painful for a long time, and I had cracked nibbles and bleeding and tried breast shields and everything like that, and ended up just pushing through, and we breastfed for about 2.5 years. And it's really important to mention as well, because I think breastfeeding after a cesarean can be tricky. It was good that I got to be in labor for as long as I did, because after doing the research on breastfeeding hormones, I think that was a good kickstart for my breastfeeding journey, to get all of the good hormones that you get through labor. Otherwise, you have to really work at it. And I did. I had to express, obviously, and get that milk to come through without him being on my chest, without smelling him, all those wonderful things that help you. So it was not impossible, but I could definitely see why women struggle after having a cesarean to get that going naturally. And I would say if you are struggling, it is worth it pushing through, even though it's painful and, yeah.
What sort of support did you have with the midwives? Did they see you much, or were they helpful with breastfeeding at all? Did you need a lactation consultant, or you just winged it?
Yeah, I did need a lactation consultant in the end. The follow-up visits weren't very many. I know they came and they checked the stitches and everything. So it was more of a, let's make sure the scar is okay and healing well. And I mentioned that I was really struggling with the breastfeeding. So the one midwife watched and gave some tips and things like that. But I ended up having to get a lactation consultant to go see. And she was really brilliant.
You did it privately, did you? Yeah, okay.
Expensive, but it was worth it. I went to one class, I think, while I was in the hospital, and it was just no good.
Yeah.
It was just, full of new mums, and it was just not helpful at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Group setting's a bit different to one-on-one though.
Yeah, but I remember asking her, like, I'm struggling with this, and he doesn't seem to be latching right with this. And it was just, it seemed very generic information that I sort of already knew,
Right.
and there was nothing specific that she could help with.
Not specific for your situation.
Not specific for my situation, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. And then what did your postpartum journey look like? Like, when did you go home? Did you have much support once you went home?
Yeah, so it was about 3 or 4 days. I can't remember how long exactly it was. And they are good. Like, they get you up and walking as soon as possible to get the healing going. So it was a pretty quick recovery, but it was also really painful. Like, I just would not choose to do a cesarean ever again. I just remember the first time that I had Jack up with me after he was released from the NICU, and we were in the bed, and he was beside me. And obviously they don't let your partner stay after visiting hours. So he was just like, okay, see you later. I've got to go now. And I just remember thinking, I can hardly sit up still. And I have this baby that I am responsible for all night to feed and to cuddle and to get up to. Like, how am I going to do this? This is crazy. Like, why can't you stay? Like, why can't you just support me tonight, But obviously they have rules, and he had to leave. And they do have staff on that you can kind of buzz for, but it's not, they're there for an emergency. They're not there to come every time your baby cries and you need to get someone to help you sit up. So I kind of just muddled through it.
It can be hard for some women to even ask for that, whereas if it's a family member or your partner, they're specifically there for you.
Percent. Yeah, so that was tricky. But once we were home, my partner had paternity leave for a couple of weeks, so that was brilliant. I've got my parents up here, so they were able to come and help around the house. And I was just able to kind of concentrate on healing and looking after Jack, which is really nice. Like, brilliant painkillers. Just got dosed up on painkillers and I was able to walk around. And, I just remember it's kind of nice because it kept me in a bubble, I guess, a little bit longer rather than, feeling I could just get up and go into the world. I was sort of housebound for quite a while. You can't drive for 6 weeks, those kind of things. So it was just small walks outside. So in a way, it was nice to have that little bubble, but I didn't enjoy the physical restrictions.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much. I've got a couple of questions to ask. So knowing what you know now, would you do things differently? I know you've since had a baby, so I know the answer, but maybe just share with our listeners.
Yes, my second baby actually went on to have a H-back, so a home birth after caesarean, which is amazing because you didn't even know you could have a VBAC, a vaginal birth after caesarean, until I went through this, let alone have one at home. So that you can absolutely choose, as long as the caesarean wasn't for something complicated that might be repeated in a second pregnancy. The midwife that I spoke to for my second birth just ran through the story and then just reassured me that, this wasn't something that was likely to be repeated. And, we talked about uterine rupture and things like that. And I was really comfortable with the research that she'd done and sort of let me know there's not really that much more risk for you than, say, someone else who had a vaginal birth having a home birth now. So I was really grateful for that. I got to choose a different opportunity. But definitely the things that I learned from the first birth were that the environment matters hugely. So now going through it and now, reading some of the research around it, I absolutely understand that the environment, you have to feel safe and supported, and it has to be somewhere familiar and quiet where your body can just relax. Because once you're in a different scenario, even when you're not in labor, you kind of you change a little bit. You're a little bit more cautious, wary, the different smells, the different sights, people you don't know. You might not be as free to be yourself in a new environment. It's the same with labor. It's like your body goes, hang on a sec, I've got to analyze if I'm safe. I've got to analyze whether we can have the baby here. And so if you are going into a hospital setting, if I was going to do a hospital birth again, I would bring some familiar things with me, some blankets, some t-shirts, things like smelled like home. I would make sure that it was really dark and environment that I felt really safe in. And then the other thing is who you have there. So the second time round, I wanted to make sure that I knew the person that was going to support me in the birth and that they came through the whole journey with me. Because it's amazing how you can just relax when that person is there because you trust them. You've been through this whole journey together. There's no surprises. You've talked about everything. They know exactly what you want. So when you go off into la la land, that beautiful hypnotic labor kind of state, you don't have to worry because they already know what you want. And it doesn't matter what scenario comes up because they're going to support you through it. And obviously I chose a home birth for the second one because I wanted all the benefits that came with it, having my partner being able to be with me, stay there, be there for the first night, all those things. And
up into your own bed.
Yeah, own bed, shower. You can just walk into your own shower. And it definitely made a huge difference. I went into labor so much quicker and progressed so much faster the second time around. Obviously, I think you do anyway because your body's kind of done it before, but I just could relax into it like that because I was at home.
In your second pregnancy, did you have any fears or thoughts come up about this baby being breech? And did you have any discussions with your midwife about that and what that would look like if they were?
Yeah, I did. She actually, because it was a girl second time round, she actually was breech very briefly and I panicked. I absolutely panicked. I felt like this visceral reaction come up that I couldn't even control. It was like a depression. Like my body just went into this depressed state because I think it was just fear coming up that I was going to have the same experience again. And I had to kind of talk myself out of it again, that this is going to be different, with different support team. And I can't remember if we had the conversation. I think if it was a breech birth, I was going to have to go into the hospital because my chosen midwife wasn't trained or wasn't 100% comfortable with a breech birth. But that being said, she said it would always be my choice. So if I wanted to still have the baby at home, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
So I was lucky that she turned around. She was only briefly breech, so she ended up coming head down. So there was
Did you do anything to try and encourage her, or she just
Yes.
did it on her own? Yeah. Okay.
We did a lot of spinning babies. We did a whole course on it. And I made my partner, there was like 3 exercises that we did on repeat every single day. And so I don't know if that helped, but that was definitely helpful with my peace of mind. Yeah, because I felt like I was doing the things to make it happen. So if it didn't happen, then, you know, we had done everything that we could think of. And she did. She turned. So that was good.
Beautiful. Amazing. You got your VBAC.
It's crazy. It's possible. Well, who would
It
have thought?
is. Yeah. Is there any advice, wisdom, anything extra you'd like to offer any woman listening right now?
Yeah, I would definitely do all the things that we did. So spinning babies is amazing. We got one of those cool little it's just like a long piece of fabric, and yeah,
The rebozo.
yeah, the rebozo, taking the weight off the belly, you know, in different positions, upside down. That was brilliant, and it doesn't take much, and it kind of bonds you and your partner at the same time because they feel a bit more involved in the preparation for the birth. We did do some acupuncture, but I don't think that really contributed as much as the spinning babies because we did that every day. And
Did they do moxibustion with the acupuncture or just
yeah.
acupuncture? Yeah.
But I would say even if your baby doesn't turn, you know, go in as confidently as you can to the birth, because I just have a feeling that babies are in the position that's best for them. That's what I felt with Jack. I felt like he would have absolutely had a great birth because he was a big baby. I think the position that he was in was just the most comfortable for him coming down. And I really feel like he would have come out absolutely fine. And after this, I've watched breech births. I've watched the ones that you've assisted with. And it's birth. It's just a different kind of birth, but it's still birth. And I would say find a beautiful midwife that feels comfortable. Even in hospital, they are getting more and more comfortable because the surgeon that I had said to me, I don't mind either way you do it because I've delivered breech births as well. So crack on with what you want to do. So you can definitely find a care provider that will be able to assist you. You don't have to go and think automatically, I need to have a cesarean. You know, I think twice about just going for cesarean, because even if you end up with a cesarean, but you start the labor and go as far as you can, even that's better because you're getting all these beautiful benefits that will serve you later on with breastfeeding and bonding, that if your body can go through as much labor as possible. So even if you shoot for a normal birth and you end up with cesarean, I think that's a win, you know?
Amazing. Is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I just think women are amazing, and trust your body. You are the one that knows what's happening inside. Even if everyone else on the outside says something else, you know, it's your body, it's your baby, and you guys are the ones communicating with each other. And just trust yourself. Yeah.
Perfect way to finish.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to listen.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Breech Birth podcast. These stories matter. They stretch what we think we know and bring voice to experiences that need to be heard. I'm so grateful to the women who have shared their experiences with us, raw, real, and full of wisdom. If this episode resonated with you, please follow, share, or leave a review. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Breech Birth Podcast. And if you have a breech story to share, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, may we continue to reclaim the narrative, one story at a time.